Hey everybody, Yankee here. You know, we've been facing a lot of bad news here in the state of Washington, but I don't like to always just focus on the bad. I want to focus on the good because today, actually yesterday, some very good news came out regarding the Second Amendment, and that is that the Fifth Circuit of Appeals has upheld a previous judgment that denying 18 to 20-year-olds the right to purchase a handgun is unconstitutional. Which, of course it is. If someone's an adult at 18, they should have all their rights. Now, I personally have been on record many times saying I don't think anyone should have any rights until they're 35, or at least 25. But I'd rather have 35, but I'm willing to negotiate down. You know, mainly because people that are 18 years old are not mature, neither physiologically, emotionally, neurologically. They just aren't mature. And if you're an 18-year-old and you think you are mature, well, that's because you're 18 and you don't know any better. And I will say there are some 18-year-olds that are far more mature than others and who can easily handle the obligation of, carrying a firearm. But that isn't the norm. So I'm not a big fan of 18-year-olds being adults, period. But here's the thing, and I've stated this many times before when we've discussed this topic. You can't have it both ways. And I'm talking about the federal government. They can't say that when you're 18, you can vote simply because they know 18-year-olds are easy to manipulate in how they vote. And they're useful in maintaining that split dynamic of the population. And they can't say that, well, at 18 years old, you can sign up right out of college when you're unsure about your future and go overseas and give your life protecting foreign corporate interests, but you can't own a gun. You can do those things, but you can't own a gun. You can't buy a pistol. We can't trust you with that. You can decide the fate of the country. You can go over and put your life on the line to protect somebody's stock values, but we can't trust you with a firearm. And this, of course, has a lot of people freaking out now that they have said that that is unconstitutional. You can't have it both ways. Either a person's adult at 18 or they're not. And this has got, like I said, a lot of people up in arms because they're saying things like, 60 years ago almost now, we decided that there was a problem with young people having guns and they did something about it. And now that's being undone when guns with young people is a bigger problem than ever. And I'm like, do you not understand that what you just said shows that what they did doesn't make a difference? Making it illegal for 18-year-olds to buy firearms, buy handguns, obviously didn't solve the problem. If you're saying the problem's bigger now than ever, and that law's been in effect for 60 years, doesn't seem like it's having any effect. So maybe you're focusing on the wrong thing. Maybe instead of focusing on the guns and what responsible 18-year-olds do who actually have firearms, maybe you should focus on the people who misuse the guns and why. Why do they do this? What led them down the wrong path? What opportunities do they not have? What resources could help them not do that? Maybe you should do that instead of just saying, well, if we've got a problem with certain groups of people are doing bad things with certain things because of their circumstances, well, let's just take the things they're using away from them instead of trying to help them and change their circumstance. Because that's what the government does. The government never tries to solve a problem. They never pass up on an opportunity to disenfranchise a little piece of the population every chance they get. Because eventually, if they keep taking away rights from one little group, eventually no one's got any rights left. And by the time it gets down to the people who are actually going to have the wherewithal to complain, well, there's going to be no one with rights to support them. So this is a great decision by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. I don't agree with everything they say, but I do agree with this. If you're going to say 18-year-olds are adults, they can vote, they can go to war, well, then they can obviously own a gun. If they can go overseas and kill foreign people for one reason or another, usually to protect, like I said, corporate interests, if they can do that, well, then they can have a gun here. Just makes sense. If they can drive, a 4-ton truck down the road at 16, well, then at 18, they should be able to own a firearm. I fully support that. Even though, like I've said many times, I don't think anybody should have any rights until they're 35. I don't think people under the age of 25 should be allowed out of their house without being accompanied by their parents. And that should be in limited spurts in public. Shouldn't have them out where people have to see them and deal with them all the time. They're annoying. But, like I said, if the government's going to say you're an adult at 18, then you should have all your rights. So this decision by the Fifth Circuit of Appeals that says it is unconstitutional to deny 18 to 20-year-olds the right to purchase a handgun is absolutely correct.